how do you actually lock in? How do you make so much progress, take so much action towards your goal that you feel like a new man afterwards? Someone who no longer thinks, plans, and dreams, but someone who intends, takes action, and executes and gets it done. Here's the formula for you, and it only takes 90 days. So the formula for success, the formula for locking in is C times S times F divided by D. And we're going to get into each one of those and how to make sure you lock in on it so you get the whole lock-in formula. Let's get started. And by the way, you do need everything in the formula to get that lock-in effect, but we're going to cover all of it in this video, inshallah. And at the end, I'm going to share a hack that actually supercharges everything before it and makes it much easier actually. Okay, so the first part of the formula is the S. And if you don't pay attention to this, you'll feel like you're walking uphill with weights tied around your ankles and you won't even know why. But once you realize and you sort this out, you're going to feel weightless. You're going to feel like a feather running up that hill full speed. You see, locking in requires you to launch off a very stable foundation. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to catapult yourself forward in this 90 days. And the foundation for the skyscraper that inshallah you're going to build in that time is your sleep. Without it, there's no foundation. You're going to feel like you're just not motivated, or you procrastinate and you think it's because I don't know why, or I'm lazy, but it's actually just because you're tired. Your brain doesn't want to work. Your brain doesn't want to decide what I should do next, or what's the exact next step for this, or let's do this very mentally challenging task. It doesn't want to do that when you're tired. Not to mention a lot of brothers that I've coached, they want to go full-time on a business. They want to do it full-time. That's their dream. But when they actually start it, their biggest challenge is just waking up early and getting the work done. They often will wake up late and then work all the way through the day, and they've not even done much. And then their whole life is based around this business, and business goes up and down. So because their sleep is not sorted out, because they're not waking up early, getting 4, 5, 6 hours work done, at least solid work, and then they can chill, they can do other things, they can spend their time in other ways. They're actually spending their whole day on their business, but it's actually not working because they're not starting early enough, because they're not sleeping early enough. Not to mention your decision-making ability decreases by 58% when you're not slept well. And your emotional reactivity, which is very important in business or most things, to be honest, increases by 60%. So basically, as a man, you could have that time of the month just because you're not sleeping. So what are you going to do to prepare yourself to lock in by having that solid foundation of sleep? Well, it's pretty simple. You just have to sleep early and then wake up early. And by the way, this is going to feel hard for the first 3 days if you're not used to it. But after the 3 days, it gets much easier. And that is scientifically proven, by the way. So you're going to get an app called Alarmy. This app allows you to set alarms that you can only turn off if you scan a certain barcode. There are many ways you could do it. You could have to do press-ups. You could do a math equation to turn the alarm off. But what I like is that you have to physically get up. Because you probably experienced this yourself. You're on the sofa, scrolling on your phone, and the hardest thing at that time seems just to get up. Or maybe you're sitting at your desk on your laptop and you're watching YouTube, and the hardest thing is just to get up from it. So when you have to scan a barcode, let's say in your bathroom, in order to turn your alarm off, you're going to do that. And that is how you get up and you go to bed early. Set an alarm for 10 o'clock, 10:30, whatever it is, depending when you sleep right now, and make that alarm go off at that time. And the only way to turn it off is with this Alarmy app, and it is by scanning something in your bathroom. The reason you want to go bathroom is because that's where you can kind of brush your teeth and start getting ready for bed. Put everything you need to get ready for bed in the bathroom, like clothes that you're going to wear to sleep, like your toothbrush, etc. Have it all there so that once you go in there, you turn your alarm off, you get ready for bed, and then you go straight to bed. There's nothing to distract you and stop you going to bed early. Then you're going to use this alarm again to actually wake you up. So preferably the phone wouldn't be next to you in your bedroom. Put it somewhere else, like on the other side of your bedroom, and put the alarm to go off early, but otherwise at Fajr time or just after Fajr Adhan, whenever it is, depending on the time of year, wake up early and get started early. And again, you're going to use the Alarmy app in the same way. You're going to scan a barcode in your bathroom to turn the alarm off. So you have to get out of bed, get out of bedroom, go to the bathroom, and then when you turn the alarm off in there, you might as well wash your face, have wudu, and get ready for Fajr. Get changed as well, by the way, at that time. And because sleeping is so foundational, it is something really good to track your progress with and have something that you tick off every day when you've woken up on time. And even better if you could do that with an accountability coach. Okay, the C part of the formula might actually make work easier for you, but it also at the same time makes you achieve so much more. Now, you've probably heard of Malcolm X, who lived his life as a criminal in America in the 60s. And eventually he became famous for fighting for his rights, for black people's rights, civil rights in the US. And he became a Muslim, mashallah. But what you might not have known is that he grew up in a life of crime. He wasn't hanging out with good people. He was robbing. He was selling drugs. He was not in a good place. And he eventually went to jail for pulling a gun on a policeman. But his time in jail taught him, and it can teach us, a big lesson about consistency. He was in jail and he wanted to get rid of his ignorance. He realized that he didn't even know how to speak properly, how to read properly. So he started reading. What did he do? He read every day a page from the dictionary. He would just read, beginning to end, read that dictionary. And then after he finished that, he would read other books and read and read and read. And why do you think today, if you go and search his speeches on YouTube, he's such a good speaker? It's because he read so much. But not just that he read so much, he read every single day. He had that consistency. And that is the secret here. You see, also in Angela Duckworth's book called Grit, which is all about how to be persistent and stick to things, she makes it very clear from the research that consistency beats talent. And perseverance, sticking to something, predicts your achievement even more than your IQ. So if you can't keep up those 12 hours a day, then there's no point doing it because you're just going to end up in that situation. So the point here is that you might think you're going to lock in, or you're going to be a high performer by working 12, 14 hours a day. But if you're not consistent, then none of that matters at all. Being consistent with something that's very sustainable keeps you moving forward and making progress even on a bad day, which is so important for you psychologically. And when the task that you have to do is not massive, it allows you to keep moving forward with it even when you don't feel like it as well. Not to mention being consistent with something every day or multiple times a week, it can turn it into a habit which makes doing it automatic, which again is even easier. Not to mention that small wins, they compound over time. So what they say even in the stock market investing is that it's not about timing the market, it's about time in the market. What this means is that it doesn't matter so much what price you buy the stock for. What matters is how long you stay in that stock, how long you buy it and then stay holding it for. The same goes with our actions. If you're learning a skill or you're memorizing Quran or whatever you're doing, if you do that every day for a year, you're going to become amazing at it. But if you do it in big chunks of 1 week here, 2 months there, 1 month there, 2 days there, you will not actually build up that compounding that would actually allow you to eventually get exponential results and take off with it. When you're locking in, you are looking to behave differently to before, to take action that you've not done before, and to get results you've never got before. And the next part of the formula will really dive into that. But what's really, really important here is that you can be consistent with those actions over a 90-day window, because that is what's going to get you results, not going on and off, even if the action is really big. Okay, now let's cover the biggest part of the formula, the biggest factor of success, which is F. And this is the one I see people mess up with the most, even though it's the most important part of the formula. Let's imagine you're doing archery. You've got a target in front of you. Maybe you've got multiple targets. But in the end, you can only successfully hit one of them. And that's what we have to do here. You cannot hit 2 targets with 1 arrow. And when you think of people like Bukhari, who wrote the book Sahih al-Bukhari, or you think of your favorite reciter, or your favorite YouTuber, or your favorite debater and da'i to Islam, do you find that they're actually amazing at multiple things? Or are they focused on one thing? And guess what? That's what they're the best at, and that's what they focused on. Imam Bukhari, he took 16 years to write Sahih Bukhari. That's why it's so good. That's why it's so good, and that's what you've got to do too. Think about it like a plane taking off. This is really what you're doing when you're trying to start a new project, a new business, or you're just trying to memorize Quran, or you're trying to focus on a certain skill or something like that. This is something you're doing for the first time. It's not something you've been doing your whole life. And therefore, it's very similar to a plane taking off. Did you know that when a plane takes off, it might be a 7-hour flight, but it will use 30% of its fuel just to take off. 30% of fuel is burned in just the 3, 4, 5 minutes of taking off. That same analogy applies when you're starting a new project. You need to focus. You're burning so much fuel that if you try and burn fuel on multiple projects at the same time, you'll simply burn out. And therefore, we have to focus on one area, one project when we're locking in. That will be our main thing. Making solid progress in these 90 days is way more powerful, and it's actually going to make you feel real progress by focusing on one thing than if you just made a little bit of progress on 3, 4, 5 different things. And this isn't forever, by the way. I mentioned that this is the beginner phase when you're starting something. But when you've been doing something for years or maybe even 6 months, 9 months, it's something that doesn't take so much of your fuel, if you like, and therefore you can do it on the side with another main focus. But we just have to have the long term in mind here and understand that focusing on something in the short term is really going to benefit us, whereas later in life, we might be really good at certain things, be used to certain things, and that's where we could fill our life with a few different projects. So the point here is that success and locking in, it demands that you focus, that you obsess over one main goal at a time. It helps you achieve faster progress without burning out. It builds momentum and helps you keep focusing your energy on that one thing. So all your energy is all directed towards that one thing. And it gets rid of any overwhelm or lack of clarity where you don't know what you should be doing day to day. No, this is your main focus. Therefore, there's nothing to even wonder about. That is the thing you should be working on day to day. So now what you can do practically is write down 3 big goals that you have. Write them down, your biggest things that you want to achieve. And now I challenge you to cross out all of those except one. And that is the one that you'll be locking in on. That is the one you'll be really making progress on in the next 90 days when you're locking in. Now, minimum for this one goal that you've selected, you're going to spend an hour working on it. When you really focus on something, you're going to find there are so many different things you could do and things you could learn that would really contribute to the success of that thing. But if you were juggling multiple goals, you actually would just do the minimum for that thing and therefore not make too much progress. Another thing is you're going to want to track your progress. You're going to want to plan your week for the things you want to do in that project for that week. And you're going to want to track your progress, whether you're actually doing it or not. This is very important for your own accountability and just to see the progress you're making. And if you're not making progress, you could see why. Is it that the actions, I'm not doing them? Or is it that the actions I've chosen are the wrong types of actions that won't bring results? So stick to this one focus for 90 days and you'll see the type of progress that you make. Now, this whole formula has those 3 factors that times by each other, but then we have it all divided by this factor, which starts with D. And that is unfortunately one word that can completely destroy your one main focus goal that you've just decided on. Now, you know the company Apple, they're so successful now, one of the most valuable companies in the world, and they just seem to print money. You can even see those counters online, which counts how much money they're making per second, and it's just crazy. But they didn't start out like that. They were actually really struggling at one point, and that was after the time when they fired Steve Jobs. You might think Steve Jobs was like the main guy of Apple, but at one point they fired him. When they brought him back in and he came back, what was the first thing he did? He looked at their product line and he removed products. He focused, he removed, and that then led to the launch of the iPhone, which is their most successful product ever, and which actually feeds into the sales of their software, of MacBooks, of iPads, of all of that stuff. And what Steve Jobs did was made a very difficult decision, but an important, essential decision to remove distractions. And that's what got him the success that he got to. You see, saying yes to so many things after you've decided that this is my main goal and then still saying yes to other things, it's like every time you say yes, you're throwing an anchor off your ship and it's dragging you down and stopping you from going full speed towards your destination, towards your goal. So the point here is that focusing on one thing, it doesn't just mean picking that thing. It means saying no to all the other things that are going to come your way. And those things that are going to come your way, they're going to be good opportunities. Your friend will ask you, do you want to memorize Quran with me? Your friend will say, do you want to start training MMA with me? So many people are going to offer you good ideas, but if you're really locking in, you've got to say no to it all because you're focused on that one goal. Now, this also means you're going to have to say no to other distractions as well. That might not be specific goals, but stuff like going out with friends too much, or being on social media too much, watching YouTube too much. These things are distractions as well that kind of clutter your mind. And of course, they're going to lead to things like you sleeping too late and stuff like that, which will ruin your foundation as well. I'll tell you, even learning stuff can be a distraction. Sometimes we love to watch YouTube videos, read books, listen to audiobooks, podcasts, to just learn and feel like you're gaining some knowledge. But that can be a distraction as well. So I would even say no to learning that is not directly related to your one goal. Make all your learning directly related to that one goal, and you're going to see how the results compound even more. So that is the formula for locking in, but there's something that will make it so much easier if you'll take advantage of it as well. Because these factors are so important. And if you actually accomplish them, you would definitely get huge results from the 90 days that we're talking about. But they still rely on you doing it. They still rely on having a level of discipline, a level of motivation, a level of action taking. But all of that becomes so much easier when you have someone helping you, someone pushing you, someone advising you, guiding you on what to do and what to avoid. Stuff like mentorship, coaching, accountability. These are the things that take the actions that you want to do and change them from being things you may or may not do to things that you'll definitely do, because there's someone on the other side waiting to ask you, did you do it? Holding you accountable, tracking your results, tracking your action taking, and also guiding you along the way. And that's exactly what we offer at the front row. A proven process for locking in with our full support instead of just relying on yourself to get it done. If you want to learn more, click the link below. You'll learn the full process that we use. And then if you want to work with us, you can move ahead with that. This process is the exact thing that took me from being someone who was just a dreamer of having a business and working online and living wherever I wanted to actually accomplishing it. I had the 3 ingredients that I just mentioned, and that's why I've set this up for people like you to actually lock in and get the results and get the dream results that you've been looking for, but you've not quite done it yet because of procrastination or whatever it is. Or watch this video next on screen, and I'll see you in the next one, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.